I'm not a company trying to push a product. I am not a politician trying to get votes. I am a 26-year-old farmer who is both financially and mentally committed to seeing the well-being of my family's heritage succeed.
Cole, the Cornstar's rise from humble farm boy to YouTube sensation seems like the perfect American success story. His channel, capturing the raw realities of farm life, drew in millions, celebrating hard work, family, and the dream of modernizing a generational farm. But behind the camera, things weren't as rosy as they seemed. Financial strain, abandoned projects, and mounting pressure began to take a toll on Cole's life as his channel's views continued to accumulate. What once looked like a dream turned into a high-stakes gamble with everything on the line. Today, take a look at the truth about Cole's journey and the hidden struggles no one saw coming. Chapter 1. From the fields of Iowa to a YouTube sensation. Cole's story began in the fertile fields of central Iowa, where his family had been farming for generations. As a fourth-generation farmer, Cole's roots run deep in the rich soil of WL Farms, which spans nearly 2,000 acres of corn and soybeans. Farming was his entire life. From a young age, Cole was part of the daily rhythm of farm work, from riding alongside his father on tractors at the age of 5 to driving them himself by the time he was 8. This hands-on experience instilled in him a work ethic rooted in responsibility and perseverance, traits that would shape his future. But Cole's ambitions extended beyond the fields. He wasn't just going to take over the family farm, he was determined to revolutionize it. As a finance major at the University of Northern Iowa, Cole saw agriculture as a business. With an eye for economic trends and investments, he set out to modernize his inheritance in a way that no one had ever imagined before. In 2018, while still a college student, Cole took a leap that would change his life forever. He wondered if people didn't know about what happens on a farm daily. How would they ever understand agriculture? And how would his business ever boom? So he decided to launch his YouTube channel, Cole the Cornstar.
Hey everybody, you're watching Cole the Cornstar. If you're even slightly interested in farming,
his idea was pretty simple. He wanted to share the raw, unfiltered reality of farm life. At the time, Cole didn't expect much, thinking his audience would be limited to those curious about rural life. But something unexpected happened. The authenticity and relatability of his content struck a chord with viewers. Each video took them behind the scenes of farm life, whether it was battling broken equipment to surviving unpredictable weather. In an era dominated by polished, curated content, Cole's straightforward, no-nonsense approach offered a refreshing contrast. Within just a few months, the channel exploded. What started with a few hundred subscribers quickly shot to thousands, then tens of thousands. By the end of his first year, Cole the Cornstar had reached over 200,000 subscribers, and the numbers only continued to climb. As his following grew, so did Cole's ambitions. He knew that this was the beginning of something great. His videos showcased everything from the daily grind of planting and harvesting to big-ticket investments aimed at modernizing the farm, like upgrading machinery or building new grain storage. But what made his channel unique wasn't just the farming content. It was the way Cole intertwined his personal life. His father, Dale, affectionately known as Daddy Cornstar, and his brother, Cooper, played significant roles in the videos. They created a family dynamic that resonated with viewers. The fact that they were building this legacy together wasn't something that people saw on YouTube every day. It was the kind of content that is usually reserved for reality shows or documentaries. But here Cole was, giving the entire world access to something so fascinating. As Cole's channel gained momentum, his vision for the farm continued to expand. He was no longer content with simply maintaining the family's operation and set his sights on upgrading the farm to meet the demands of the 21st century. Inspired by the idea of marrying tradition with technology, he began to pour significant resources into upgrading equipment, expanding storage capacity, and even exploring new farming techniques. Not only was that exciting for his family, but the audience was also eager to see where Cole's journey would lead him. This promise of progress and innovation made everyone want more. And to be completely honest, Cole's ambition was almost infectious. Chapter 2. Cole's million-dollar gamble. One of his most notable and also controversial endeavors was the 1 million grain bin site. Promoted as a game-changer for the farm, the new bins were designed to offer better storage and increase efficiency.
If you're not familiar with grain bins, they're essentially giant storage units that we can put our crops in, so that way we can store them for a period of time.
But, as we would later see, this ambitious investment would be the very downfall of the farmer-turned-YouTube sensation. In a video titled, "Is the 1 million bin site going to bankrupt the farm?" Cole was honest about the financial risks and uncertainties surrounding the venture. The plan was simple in theory. He was going to build a state-of-the-art grain storage facility that would enable his family farm to store more grain, protect it from spoilage, and ultimately increase efficiency. It sounded like the perfect solution to scale up the operation. The new bins were designed to offer greater storage capacity, a key element in a farming operation's ability to weather the volatility of crop prices and harvest yields. But as the construction process unfolded, cracks began to appear in the plan. Turns out the bins were more complicated to build than anticipated. The first sign of trouble came when the site struggled to reach even 75% of its intended capacity. Cole's frustration grew as the project dragged on, and the promises of a more modern and efficient farm began to feel more like a burden at this point. The construction issues raised concerns over the quality of the work done by the contractor, and by April 2022, the frustrations hit a boiling point. The grain pit, a central feature of the site, was failing to operate as planned, with augers frequently plugging up, forcing Cole and his team to work overtime just to keep the system running. For Cole, it became clear that this project wasn't the quick fix he had envisioned. Instead of a smoother, more streamlined operation, the 1 million bin site became a threat to the very existence of WL Farms. It was a complete financial and logistical nightmare. But that's not all that was happening. Chapter 3. The Abandoned Farmhouse. At the same time that Cole was dealing with the grain bin disaster, another project, one closer to his heart, was also beginning to unravel. The renovation of the family farmhouse, a historic structure that had been in his family for generations, had always been a dream project for Cole. His vision was clear: restore the house to its former glory, updating it with modern amenities while maintaining its rich generational history. But like the grain bins, the farmhouse renovation soon proved to be more complicated than anticipated. The initial enthusiasm surrounding the project quickly gave way to a harsh reality: rising construction costs, unforeseen structural issues, and Cole's increasing focus on his YouTube career meant that the farmhouse, which had once been a symbol of family heritage, started to look more like a financial burden. The restoration was supposed to be a tribute to the legacy of Cole's grandparents, who had built the house decades earlier. But by August 2023, the project came to a screeching halt. Cole posted a video titled, "Why I Stopped Restoring My House," where he explained that, despite the emotional investment, the project simply couldn't continue.
This amount of blood, sweat, tears, and sacrifice is something that I take personally.
Rising costs were one thing, but the reality was that Cole's farm was already on shaky ground financially. He couldn't afford to keep the renovation going while dealing with all the other issues that he had to worry about. So, the farmhouse project had to be completely abandoned, and that was hard for Cole and the fans. The same fans who had cheered for him through his YouTube success now expressed their disappointment and frustration. For some, it felt like Cole had given up on something sacred. On online forums, people started referring to the YouTuber as the destroyer of heritage homes. This was a level of public failure that Cole just didn't see coming. The real problem here is that farming is one of the most expensive professions in the world. Each season requires hundreds of thousands of dollars in investment before even a single crop is sold. Cole, who had always been transparent about the costs of farming, had let his audience in on the harsh realities of financing such a massive operation. But for some reason, he was met with intense backlash for making decisions that he had no other choice but to make. The financial strain reached its peak when Cole revealed that the farm had spent over $1.3 million on crops for the year, before even selling a single grain. Yet, despite the massive investment, Cole was facing a reality where the farm had zero grain in the bins, meaning zero income. Crop prices had plummeted, making it even harder to turn a profit. Even with the potential for good yields, Cole's farm was sinking deeper into debt. The combination of poor investments, delayed projects, and unforeseen costs created a perfect storm. Cole's content,
That makes this thing an extra $25,000.
which had once showcased the thrill of farming, now had to include harsh updates about equipment failures, crop losses, and growing financial uncertainty. This meant that his entire social media identity and career were at risk too. In an attempt to cover the overspending on his grain bin project, Cole asked fans for donations, offering rewards such as a signed certificate, a t-shirt, and soil in a bottle. While some defended him, understanding the financial struggles that come with running a farm, many saw this as an unethical ask that reflected poorly on his financial management. People felt that, given his YouTube success and the large investments he was already making, this plea for funds was just a poor look for the agricultural community. Many fans also accused Cole of veering off into unrelated topics or trivial content during a lot of his videos in an attempt to clickbait his fans. As the focus shifted from farming to creating viral content, Cole's audience began to feel like they were being sold a lifestyle, rather than being part of an honest farming journey. And that made several others question the authenticity of whatever Cole was putting out there for the world to see. Chapter 4. The Lawsuit and Taking Accountability. Amidst all this, in a bold move, Cole decided to take legal action. In March 2023, he announced in a video that he had filed a lawsuit against the contractor responsible for building the grain bin site. The legal battle wasn't just a financial matter. It was now a matter of accountability. Cole, who had always been transparent about the farm's challenges, found himself facing a contractor whom he felt was responsible for putting his family's operation at risk. For his fans, the lawsuit was a shocking twist. The legal proceedings put Cole's finances in an even more precarious position, but it was also an attempt to regain control and hold others accountable for the problems that were threatening his legacy. The lawsuit highlighted just how much Cole was invested in WL Farms, not just financially, but emotionally. It was his family's heritage, and he wasn't about to let it slip away without a fight. But the legal battle highlighted the systemic risks that come with farming at scale. For many, the lawsuit was a sign of just how challenging modern farming had become, where even the most well-intentioned investments could quickly turn into costly failures. And that's exactly what had happened to Cole. By 2025, the YouTuber had reached a point of no return. So, in a moment of raw honesty, Cole released the video that no one had expected, titled "Farm Bankruptcy, Let's Talk." In this emotional video, Cole addressed his viewers with a blunt confession. The farm was on the brink of bankruptcy. This wasn't the optimistic, upbeat farmer they had followed for years. It was a man under immense pressure, acknowledging that the dream he had worked so hard to build was crumbling. The video showed a side of Cole that his audience had never seen before. He explained how, Despite a record-breaking harvest,
Got a trucker here all ready for a load of corn. They can legally haul 90,000 pounds total weight.
the financial outlook for WL Farms was grim. Crop prices had plummeted, his grain bins were still empty, and despite working tirelessly, Cole found himself drowning in debt. It was a reminder that even the most seemingly successful farming operations can fall apart when faced with the unpredictable nature of the industry. The response from his audience was overwhelming. Some fans rallied around him, offering support and encouragement, while others questioned whether Cole had bitten off more than he could chew. The comments ranged from admiration for his transparency to criticism about how his ambitions and the demands of being a farmfluencer may have led him down this path. The video opened up a conversation about the intersection of farming, social media, and the very real financial pressures that come with running a modern farm. For Cole, the video marked a turning point. He was not publicly confronting the harsh realities of running WL Farms and grappling with the consequences of his actions. Whether or not the farm would survive was still uncertain, but one thing was clear. Cole had shown his audience that even in the face of adversity, honesty and transparency were key to keeping the dream alive. But the question remained, what was next for WL Farms?
Put the big round baler back on and go start making hay. So we're gonna jump on this little girl. Hey!
Cole's first step toward rebuilding was a reevaluation of his priorities. He realized that chasing big, flashy investments had distracted him from the core mission of the farm: sustainability. He had focused too much on expansion and modernization, rather than ensuring that the foundation of the farm was stable enough to support those changes. Now, Cole is looking at ways to stabilize WL Farms by focusing on the essentials like maintaining a steady income from crop sales, ensuring that the farm's operations are lean and efficient, and making smarter, more sustainable investments. It has been a humbling realization for Cole, one that required him to step back and question everything. The rush for fame and success had blinded him to the simple truth. Farming is a long game. It's about slow, steady growth, about planting seeds today and watching them bear fruit in the years to come. Now, Cole is taking a more cautious approach to farming, building on what worked and letting go of the risky ventures that had pushed him to the edge. Chapter 5. The Future of Cole the Cornstar. While Cole's public struggles were unfolding for all to see, his personal life was also undergoing immense pressure. His relationship with his wife, Nave, has been a central part of the Cole the Cornstar brand, and their family has become a beacon of hope, faith, and love for many of their followers. But behind the camera, things were more complicated. As the weight of financial troubles and public scrutiny mounted, the pressure on Cole's personal life also increased. Nave had been by Cole's side since the beginning of his journey. Together, they ran a secondary channel called Nave x Cole, which featured family-oriented content that showcased their love, their faith, and the life they were building together on the farm. For fans, it was the perfect representation of the American dream. A hard-working couple raising their children while managing the family farm and navigating life's ups and downs. However, while their relationship seemed perfect from the outside, the reality was more complicated. The stress of running a large-scale farm, managing a YouTube empire, and dealing with financial turmoil was taking a toll on Cole, and by extension, his relationship with Nave. In the beginning, when Cole's channel was growing exponentially and projects like the farmhouse renovation were in full swing, the couple had been enthusiastic about their shared vision for the farm. But as the financial situation worsened and the pressure of public expectations became overwhelming, things took a toll of them. Nave, who had always been supportive of Cole's dreams, was now feeling the weight of his decisions. As Cole focused on rebuilding WL
You're still going to be able to get up there. The roof trusses.
Farms, He had to prioritize business decisions that took him away from his family, leaving less time for the personal connection they once shared. This imbalance started to create tension in their relationship. The constant juggling act between family life, farm work, and YouTube content became increasingly difficult to maintain. Nava, like many partners in similar situations, had her own concerns, not just about the financial strain, but about Cole's mental and emotional health. Despite the pressures they faced, Cole and Nava remained committed to one another, and that has to be admired. They understood that the foundation of their family was built on trust, faith, and shared goals. Though it wasn't always easy, they knew that they could lean on each other through the tough times. As Cole works tirelessly to rebuild WL Farms, Nava stands beside him, offering support and grounding him in the values that had always been central to their relationship. And in the end, the future of Cole the Cornstar depends on his ability to balance ambition with realism, fame with family, and business with values. While the journey ahead is far from easy, Cole's story is far from over. Whether or not WL Farms will fully recover, and whether Cole can recapture the dream he once had, depends on the decisions he makes from here on.